Welcome to the Cash Flow Champs podcast, the show where we demystify real estate investing so you have the tools you need to gain financial freedom through passive investments in real estate. And now your host, Cash Flow Champs managing partner, Prashant Kumar.
Hey, this is Prashant, Kumar, and Paul Sr. from Cash Flow Champs. You are listening to Cash Flow Champs Real Estate Podcast. We have an esteemed guest with us, Jenny Gou. Jenny is managing partner at VSV. He focuses on company's operations and leads the VSV Multifamily Academy. Prior to VSV, she was a sales director at Procter & Gamble, setting national sales strategies for several billion-dollar brands and launching key initiatives across the top retailers in the United States. Her overall experience is in leading teams, strategy, and project management, and all that gives her a unique ability at VSV. Helping others to achieve successful through VSV Academy is one of his passions. Jenny received a bachelor's in business management at University of Arizona and her MBA at University of Minnesota. She currently lives in Southern California with her husband and kids. Jenny, thank you so much on this show today.
Thanks for having me.
Awesome. So Jenny, this was my narration of what your background is. Tell us, from horse's mouth, we want to hear what is your real background, anything unique about it.
No, you captured kind of the high level of it, but just to add a little bit more color, all the way back to my roots. I'm a daughter of immigrants, born in a refugee camp. So I am all about, living the American dream and how I define it. I know that's a little bit different for every single person. But for me, it was, finding ways to own my own time. And as you guys are aware, passive income is the way to go. And so I'm sure we'll talk a little bit more about that. But, just having that background really emphasized to me the importance of being your own time leader and working for yourself and not somebody else. And that's where I kind of came to be today.
Well, this is a unique thing. I have heard, you are the second, person whom I have met in last 1 month who has been in refugee camps. So hats off to you. I have high regards from where you have come and where you have reached and what you are doing. So what inspired you to get into multifamily asset class, and tell us your journey on that front.
Sure. I'm sure like many of your listeners actually started with single family investments first. So traditional long-term single family housing. And after we accumulated a handful, we realized, light bulb moment, again, like everybody else, that we wanted to scale bigger faster. And that's when we started learning about multifamily through meetups and podcasts and network meetings and conferences and books. And so once we started diving into that, we said that was the way to go. We got to go full force into multifamily. And so learning about it through other people was what got us started.
Jenny, that's so unique. I want to add my voice to Prashant in terms of just it has to be a journey from refugee camp to Procter & Gamble to college and university and where you are today. Kudos to you. I know you look like it would be just a story of resilience and keep going. So I just want to add my voice and say, well done.
Thank you.
Now, in terms of multifamily, I too can relate to you in terms of the single family space, getting into the multifamily space. That's how I started too. Got a few dozen single family properties under my belt, and then you want to scale bigger, faster, like you just said. But so I've walked on the same path. But I'm curious to find out what were some of the challenges that you face in terms of transitioning from the single family space into the multifamily space, and how did you handle that, Jenny?
Yeah. And, to add more on my transition and my journey, I left my full-time W-2 job at the beginning of January, February 2020. Okay, so right when the pandemic was starting. And we did it before even buying a single multifamily door. So
Wow.
a little bit backwards. I don't recommend everybody just kind of get up and quit their job before coming up with a plan. But one of my challenges that year was, again, unique to COVID because I had, certain visions in my mind of what I was going to do, how I was going to spend my time. And all of a sudden, the second I quit, COVID shut everything down. So brokers weren't selling, lenders weren't lending. There was no opportunity in the marketplace. And so that was the challenge that I navigated that year. How I spun it around really was, okay, making the choice to just double down, spending 100% of my time on learning, finding a mentor, getting that education so that I could accelerate as fast as I could once the market opened. So as you know, come summer of 2020, things started to open up again. And
Right.
boy, did the market heat up real fast. And so it just worked out that, excuse me, I was able to find a mentor quickly and then just head down into learning. By the end of 2020, we were 800 units in, right? Both passive and active. So just using that as an example of, how to leverage your time wisely.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And you hit a key point there in terms of getting a mentor, or I don't know if you got a coach. Did you get any type of coaching on that as well? Did you get in the coaching program?
No, not at first. I just found somebody who I met at a meetup. He was speaking, loved the success he had properties in Arizona. And I just approached him and I said, look, I'm willing to work for free. I'll be your intern, whatever's needed. I have the skill set just based on my corporate career and my experience. I have the time now. Let me help you. And he was busy with his W-2 job and had a couple properties under his belt. So he was more than willing to take me on, if you will. And then, now we're partners. We started Vertical Street Ventures together. So you never know, who you can meet and who you partner with.
Absolutely, absolutely. You're dropping some great nuggets here. For those who are aspiring to be multifamily syndicators coming from the single family space, or just in your W-2 and you want to transition over, a key point you need to pick up here is that you will need a mentor or you will need a coach, right? You will need somebody who will guide you, somebody who can show you the ropes, how to do it properly. This is not one area that you want to make huge mistakes in because it can be very costly. And so the right way to go about it is to get a coach. We at Cashflow Champs, we do have the Cashflow Champs Aristocrat Coaching Program. We have students in there right now, and we're also accepting students. So it's a great opportunity if you want to get some more information on that. Just reach out to us, send me an email, paul@cashflowchamps.com. But certainly, Jenny, that was awesome in terms of what you shared just now. So in terms of that was one of the challenges you spoke about during COVID. So in terms of getting going and the success that you're having now, it looked like you partner up with the person who mentored you. Would you say that teamwork or more than one person would be needed to be successful in the multifamily space? I know the single family space, you can often navigate it on your own, but can you speak to teamwork and that type of environment in the multifamily space and how important that is?
I think it's really dependent on your goals. Okay. So can you do this all by yourself? Sure, you can. But will you probably make more mistakes? Absolutely. Will it take you longer to hit your goals and be successful? Yes. But can you do it by yourself? Absolutely. I don't recommend it. I didn't leave, one 50, 60-hour week job to go do it again somewhere else, right? And so the power of a team is that you can lean on each other for strengths and weaknesses. And that's what we develop. So we complement each other really well. So there's a partnership of four of us at Vertical Street, and each one of us has certain strengths, and the other person complements it. And that's what makes it work. If you want to be successful faster, I recommend finding the right team members, just for all the reasons I just mentioned. And then plus so that you can still have a life, right? Being an entrepreneur is very tough, as you guys know and can imagine. So having the right team around you is super critical for that.
So Jenny, you hit a very good point. The team, right? Finding the right team.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit more about how is your team at VSV and what are the essential components that should be there in a team, and how do you go about finding them? That's a very important thing I wanted our listeners to know from you.
Yeah. And so anytime, and I still consider ourselves, a startup company because we're still, a couple years in. When we first started, Steve and I, we both wore all the hats, and that's expected. When you first start a business, a company, You're going to do everything from being the janitor to making high level decisions. But once you start to get some momentum and some scale, that's where you can bring on more partners and split up the work. So we want to make sure, and really any job, not just at the leadership level, you put the right people in the right role. And what that means is what they're good at and what they enjoy doing, because that becomes magical when you find somebody who's really good at their job and they enjoy it. Okay. And so now that we've been able to grow and expand, we have pockets of work. So I focus primarily on the academy side. We launched a coaching business as well. So I lead that and eventually run that business. Steve is focused on the capital raising side and investor relations. We have Kyle, who is focused on our acquisitions and asset management. He's more of our boots on the ground, living in the market that we focus on. And then we have Kiyoshi, who is our CFO, and he runs our CPA side of the business, so our CPA firm. Everybody has a unique strength and a unique role. And that's what you need to do when you develop your team, is finding the right, where do you have gaps, and then finding the right person to fill that in. And again, guys, it sounds crazy, but all these folks I've met at meetups, networking events, conferences, that is where you will find most likely the right partner.
Absolutely key. And I mean, same thing here in terms of our partnership. A lot of us met either at meetups or, virtually online and things like that. So we add our voice to that. Jenny, I mean, you are coming from Procter & Gamble. You start your own business here in Vertical Streets. Were there some skill sets that help you in that prior job to transition successfully into what you're doing here in the multifamily space?
Yes. So if not just myself, but if I look at all of the successful people I've seen in real estate and even syndication, almost everybody has some sort of business background. And it could be sales or marketing, but somebody that can, because when you think about the syndication, you're basically running a business. You're running a P&L
Yes.
on a property. It's first and foremost a people business, because you're dealing with residents and people's lives and partnerships. But second of all, it's a business. So how do you drive income and how do you manage expenses? And so that's basically running a business. And so the most successful people that I found in this industry have had some sort of corporate background or finance background that have been successful. So all the skills that I used at P&G, managing a team, creating initiatives, launching a brand, running a P&L for the company, all of that easily translated into real estate. The thing that I learned that was new was just the lingo of real estate and the nuances of this industry.
Awesome. And I'm curious to know, what is your primary market for the team? I mean, you're in California. I would think that the price per door in California may not be the exact place you want to invest, but I want to hear where you are located in terms of your markets, and then how did you guys go about choosing that market, being in California?
Yeah, so you're right. We own nothing in California. It's way too expensive. So 99% of our property portfolio is located in Arizona. Okay, we have one property in Texas, and we continue to focus on those two markets purely based on data. So population growth, job growth, headquarter growth, so where a company is expanding their corporate offices, cost of living in that market versus national average, and then of course the gap between mortgage versus rental rates. Okay, so we use the data to show us where we need to focus on. And right now, as hot as Arizona has been over the last couple of years, and yes, it's gotten a little bit more expensive, there is still a lot more runway for that market because people keep moving to it, just like Texas, just like Florida, the Carolinas, Georgia, et cetera. As long as people are still moving there, and there's a lack of supply, they're not building fast enough. So those are the types of data points we look at to choose to focus in.
So where are you getting those data points? I know we have these data points, and you are predicting that our supply is less than the demand in Arizona, and we expect that the prices will continue to grow. rents probably would continue to go up. Is that what you are saying? And what data do you have to substantiate that?
Yeah, we look at a wide variety of sources. So for the real estate side of it, we have access to CoStar. We look at all of the brokerages, the top broker quarterly and annual reports. So they do a deep analysis of the marketplace by MSA. We look at census data to track population growth and job growth. Same thing with income level, average income level. And then we track everything related to corporations. So who's moving their companies to Arizona, who's expanding. Everyone's talking about all the tech that's coming into Arizona. Everyone talks about Austin, but not a lot of visibility given to Arizona, but there's a lot of those tech companies coming there as well. So those are all the kind of the key resources that we traditionally go to look at, to make sure we're tracking those on a frequent basis.
That is awesome. I mean, so where is the prediction? I mean, where do you see this going? I know we're talking Arizona, and are you guys just focused in Arizona, or you have different markets where you are focused as well?
Yeah, Texas as well. So we have a fund right now. It's a $100 million fund. We'll house about 6 to 10 properties eventually. We're under contract for the first 2. They're in Arizona, but we're focusing on Arizona and Texas to expand even further into specifically the DFW area. Again, great growth numbers in Dallas always. So those 2 markets are our primary focus for this fund.
Got it. In terms of, is it $100 million equity fund, or it's overall $100 million purchase of the property?
It's $100 million of multiple class investors, including debt. Our Class A debt investors are going to get a 10% preferred return paid out monthly. So no equity for Class A. Equity goes to Class B and C, where we give an 8% preferred return, and then equity upside once we sell the property.
And you said there are different classes. One is Class A, Class B, probably Class C. And
correct.
So Class A is considered a pure debt, like 10% debt. Is that how you have structured it?
It's I would consider it like a debt investment. They will receive 10% annualized cash flow. So that's the preferred return of 10%, and those are paid out monthly starting the second month.
So can you combine, and I'm just going a little bit more into details. 10%, sure. I know it is not considered debt. It is equity, but it is fixed equity that they get 10% annualized return. Then you have 8% and whatnot. But is there a debt component also in that fund? I mean, you understand what I mean? I mean, not just so 10% is equity basically, but it is fixed return. But do you have any debt component also in the fund? I don't think you would have that.
You mean from a lender standpoint?
Yeah.
Yes. So we are still taking, we're working with lenders to take down the property itself, but within our fund, lenders aren't part of that. It's just the investment side.
Got it. Okay. No, sounds good. That's awesome. Super awesome. I would like to ask, what do you think? How do you inspire folks to come and join you in your best, in your deals? And how do you inspire folks to come and join your sort of academy as well?
Yeah, I think, for the fund specifically, honestly, I'll tell you, right now is a very tough time to raise capital. As I'm sure you're aware, it's a very tough marketplace, rightfully so. But our track record speaks for ourselves. So we've gone full cycle 5 deals already. 3 of those we've sold outright. The last one we sold last year, it was just under a 2-year hold, and it returned a 3x multiple for our investors. The one before that was a 2x multiple. And then we've done 2 full cash out refinances, working on a 3rd one right now, where it's going to be 100% cash out refinance, the previous 2. And it's about delivering infinite returns, right? So our track record is what sells our performance. And that's what I tell all investors should be looking at when you're, looking to invest somewhere. even more important than the deal itself typically is the sponsorship team. Do they have a track record? Do they perform? Do you feel like you can know, like, and trust them? I mean, that is super critical. That's how we get people to invest with us. And it's relationships. It's, again, a people. It's very similar in the sense that, there's a lot of coaching programs out there, as you guys are aware. And so you want to pick one where you feel like you connect the most with, finding your tribe, right? Your family. And so the people who join our coaching program are people who resonate with us, who relate to us. And that's the makeup of our current student database today.
Jenny, look like you've touched a lot of lives so far. I know it's a short tenure. I mean, in terms of you've been in real estate and probably less than 5 years, like most of us are. But I mean, look like you've done some positive things there. Share one story with us that, you were very pleased of the outcome in terms of how you probably help somebody, income from a passive standpoint, or, just help somebody achieve a goal. Share something with us that that you're very pleased of since you've been in this space.
Yeah, from an investor standpoint, we call this the AstroTurf moment. We like to kind of name our moments. And we've had investors, just because we've sold properties, come back and tell us, thank you. Based on the returns, I went and bought an entire front new lawn and put AstroTurf in my lawn with the money that I received back. And, we've had folks, one person tell us they went and bought a new car. One person told us they use that money to pay for their kids' age. I mean, those are so meaningful to hear, and that's the impact that we're helping our investors. But it's not just about our investors. So we have a program we launched and are currently rolling out this year called Residents First. And our investors should not be the only people who benefit from our deals. Our residents are the key stakeholders. They are the ones living on the properties. And so our Residents First initiatives has two planks. Plank one is, I feel like, is just pay to play. Like, everybody should be doing this, but we're blowing this out bigger. Every single touch point on the property, from the second they're interested in renting to the moment they move in and afterwards, how do we make sure every single touch point and their experience is the best possible? Okay, so not just resident events, but meaningful events that impact them. And then the second end of that is financial education. So we invest in properties that are typically working class, class B properties. People sometimes have 2 jobs, maybe 3, paycheck to paycheck sometimes, but working on a financial education plan for every single one of residents to opt in and be more financially savvy so that they can eventually buy their own house, or they can do more with financial freedom. So it's not just us. That's our biggest initiative that we're working on this year.
Oh, that is beautiful. That's all about giving back, and that's what I think it ultimately boils down to. Because why accumulate? I mean, it's nothing to get rich on your own. It's the beautiful thing is that you can get out and buy whatever you want. But when you kind of see beyond yourself and see into the life of others and how you can impact them, it's all about giving back. And it sounds like you guys are doing a tremendous job there. So thank you for doing that on behalf of the residents. A quick question for you here, and it's a light one. I'm going to switch now to what we call the lightning round of our real estate Cash Flow Champs real estate podcast. Tell me one piece of advice that you've received and kind of how it has really impacted and shaped your life.
I would say, and this is so cliche, but I've met so many people for the last several years who were like me, where we learn, we go to conferences, we would listen to podcasts, read books, and then do nothing. And so I always tell people the first deal is the hardest. Just go make a goal, set your steps so you have progress, and then just go do it. And then you'll learn so much when you do that first deal. Because the rest will just come a lot faster once you get the first one done. But just go do it and stop getting into the analysis paralysis, because that goes nowhere. And everyone, we all say this. We wish we learned this 20 years ago, 30 years ago, and we finally took action. All of us, right? You, Paul, Prashant, we all finally took action, and now we're more successful because of it. So just do something and get off the couch and just do it.
Absolutely. You sound like Nike, right? Just do it.
Yeah, exactly. They got it right.
That's awesome. That's awesome. What's one habit, or do you have any personal habits that contributes to your success?
You've heard of Miracle Morning. I've
Yes.
tried to do most of it. One that I consistently do, I make sure I do every day is reading. I have a stack of books at my nightstand. I go to the public library. I read every day. And it doesn't matter if it's real estate related or life related or even, a fiction book. Just read something and just make sure you're learning something every day. That is something I encourage everybody to do.
So Jenny, this has been a great podcast so far. I wanted to hear a little bit deeper. I mean, what are the deepest thing that you have in your heart that you would like to share with our audience? Something which is the most meaningful thing in your life. Does not matter whether it is real estate, does not matter whether it is relationship. What do you truly believe in?
Yeah.
What is your why?
Yeah. Thank you for asking that. I would say life is short, and I've made decisions to get to where I am today because life events happened, unfortunate life events happened. And I would encourage everybody to not wait for unfortunate life events to happen, to decide to make a change, to decide to do what you really want to do. Don't let a death come in and say, oh, now life is too short. You know what I mean? Don't let those things happen. I think figure out your own why. For me, my why is my family. So I want to spend more time with them. I moved across the country to be closer to family. So that those actions became clear because my why was clear. So once you figure out what that is, opening a business, traveling the world, doing more community service, whatever that is, identify that, and then your decisions become easier and no one will question that. So hopefully that's deep enough. Yeah, but that's it. It's just figure out your why. So that's a good question to ask.
This is super awesome, Jenny. This has been a great podcast. Please share how our listeners can reach out to you.
Absolutely. So our website is verticalstreetventures.com. Visit us. My contact information is there. We're on all social media handles. Reach out. I love talking about real estate and meeting new people. So I'm happy to chat and connect. And yeah, thanks for having me on. Hopefully I added some value somehow.
Folks, this has been a great podcast. Paul Sr., thank you so much. Jenny, of course, thank you so much for your time. Remember, where somebody comes, that doesn't matter where you have reached. That's all your efforts, and take action today, right? That is what Jenny is saying. The deepest question we asked, and she kind of hit the nail right on the head, is do not wait for uninvited events for you to force a change in your life. Do what you want to do now. Now is the right time, because you never know whether they will be tomorrow or not. So the things which are most meaningful to you, do them today. Whatever it is, real estate, relationships, moving across the country like she moved. But I'm super excited to hear. So thank you so much, Jenny. We will be talking to you hopefully sometime in future again.
Jenny, thanks for your time. Appreciate you.
Thanks for having me.
Have a great day. Bye now.
Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of the Cash Flow Champs podcast. Cash Flow Champs partners with busy working professionals and entrepreneurs that want to build and maintain generational wealth through real estate. Visit cashflowchamps.com to learn more about us